Alright, we are here. It is Zerilath Eternal, and let me get my audios up. There we go. Excellent. How's it going, guys? I'm doing alright. I did a whole thingy on the substance as a drive stream, so I hopefully got that out of my system. I don't think I need to bring it up during this presentation. But anyway, let's see. I don't know how much time has fucking passed since I started this video, and man, I feel like I've put it off almost a little too long. Not too long, really, but man, it's man, like getting your shit together in the real world, because there's no fair winning game on YouTube, right? As well as you just may not have the goddamn patience to go through what production ultimately takes, and then you yourself have to be a production and a presentation, and it's whatever. It's just like, can I just be myself as long as I look like I'm fucking put together? Anywho, let's see. I think I got this bad boy working. Does it pop up? Come here. It's not popping up. Hang on. Properties. That's right. There we go. Bang. All right. So the first 45 minutes of this was with Michelle Merrill, and now she goes and now has access to Eeyore after the Michelle interview, and so she's entering the Bock house to have a, I believe, entirely clothed encounter.
The Eeyore Bock. I haven't said this to you before, but I really want to tell you how impressed I am with your patience to over and over tell this story to people who are curious and want to know, and no matter what you're doing, you always immediately jump up and again you tell the story. So how did you get all this information?
It's one tradition in the family that we who has titles in our family, we get 20-year education. That means that we are only listening. We listen, we learn all these things. I've been getting this from my mother and my sister. My mother, Rea Bock.
All right, so check that out, right? So this is an important, thing, right? So, for this box saga coming from him, as it is, you are, you are talking about, the big difference between the proteges of Eeyore, who are not part of the family line, because Eeyore lived a particular guru's kind of life and didn't have children. I believe that's the situation with Eeyore, right? So he's getting this 20-year education from the women who are raising him in the family, right? And he's saying 20 years listening, meaning 20 years input, right? Which I think he means something very particular when he is saying that, not just that the first 20 years of his life he sat down to hear the stories or whatever, right? I think that it was probably a little bit of a life experience through the guidance of these ladies.
Ström and my sister Rakel Bockström. They in their turn get it from my father, Knut Victor Bockström, and my father's sister, Christina Victoria Bockström. In that way, they had to listen 20 years, my father and his sister, and they transferred it for 20 years to my mother and my sister, and my mother and my sister transferred it to me. From 1949, when I became 7 years, I had to sit here in this room to listen and listen and listen. The whole mythology with their different figures who made the history of this story.
And that is the so-called Wijnen mythology.
The Wijnen mythology, what is the whole thing based on.
Now, this temple, they have been telling you exactly where this temple was, this Lemminkainen temple, and also that it was closed at some point, and what you could expect to find. So, can you give the idea what you expect? What was the story?
To listen to this mythology, it gives one thing into the brain, one understanding. And understanding is about the old breeding system, what has been existing on this planet. And when you understand that we had one All-Father, one Father to all people on the planet. In this, what we've been explaining, pirouette, rosette, inside in Odenma, and Jarl et, Kar et, Tre et, outside of Odenma.
Like five different
states, caste.
And from that, these five different castes, or actually the three different castes from the outside, they have actually created this temple here in Odenmark?
Yes, because Ukko, what is the main figure, and Akka. Ukko masculine and Akka feminine. From this Ukko Akka, we can understand that Ukko Akka is the father and mother to the king and the queen. And people was bringing up gifts, aesthetic, to appreciate Ukko and Akka through the king and the queen. So the king and queen's castle become, we can nearly say, full of aesthetic, bringed up by the rabbis, who was going all...
Is there something wrong with Finnish film class? Did the Finns in the 1980s just not know how to operate a camera? I mean, I was fine with the camera looking around a little bit, you know. I mean, you don't have to see anything, right? It's the oral, you know, you're listening, really. But what is he doing with this fuzzy close-up of her nose? It's a little embarrassing, man. Let's keep going.
To their particular ringlands, and the Rabbi was also an Allfather in his ringland, because the Rabbi was the father of the Jarl et, and Jarl et is the father to the Kar et, and Kar et is the father to the Trail et. So actually for every generation of Ukko, they've been giving the appreciating thing, aesthetic, for the system. So they bring up this thing to the castle, and every time when Ukko go away from the planet, they'll be making one chamber inside in the Kypelivori to put in all these things. And when he go away, Ukko, he can for the last time see one chamber of all these things what bring up in his bare wood, because he was the breeder, Lemminkainen, when he was young.
So you say Ukko Akka is like, say, Adam and Eve?
No. Ukko Akka, Lemminkainen, Joutsen, Seppo Ilmarinen, Maija, and Sampo and Aino. Every man was Sampo. Every man wanted to reach Sampo, all the ideals, all the good, what exists inside in the man. Aino was the same, the woman, she was Aino, so she wanted to reach to be one good woman, one Aino. That means that every woman is one Aino, and every man is one Sampo. So Sampo and Aino is the people on the planet, the masculine and the feminine. Now, in the system to appreciate, they bring up this thing, and when Ukko is leaving, Ukko is anyway the father of all in the system, he could look back for his life to see the chamber full of all these things.
I'm pretty sure he's wearing short shorts. I'm pretty darn sure. I believe this video is not that kind of a video, right? If I look over here, because in a tiny box, it'll be alright. Hold on, I thought I saw for 1 second. Alright, let's just keep going. Everything will be fine, I think.
What was one appreciating of the system, of the breeding system. And he could see one statue from himself, 27 years old, when he was starting as a breeder, that's outside of every chamber. And that he could see by himself before he went to his stupa, and he stupa down, he fall down, he leaving the planet. After they bring him up from the temple, through all this spiral, and they bring him out to the middle point of Kyperivuori, where they have the burning place. And there thousands of people could see the smoke coming up from their Ukko. After they take all the ash together and they put it in what we call one uks pum, and they filled this ash inside in the pum, who was bringing to Tuna. And Tuna, we have Tuna kullen, it means one kulle, and there is standing one ash tree. Now the fylgia, what we call soul today, is going from the ash to the root of the ash tree, to the stem of the ash tree, to the branch of the ash tree.
So, right, because we all know about the belief system, right? He's talking about the belief system. He's talking about the fylgia. He says that it's the fylgia particularly as this aspect of the soul. That's an important detail. All right, that's a very important detail, right? If you go back to my run on the 9 Doors of Midgard, the early chapters with the psychosomatic soul complex in comparison to the traditional northern soul complex, or traditional European soul complex, which they're very near identical to each other, and it's called the fetch in the psychosomatic system, but it's the philia. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Philia and fetch are the same thing. And I believe the fetch is related to the fetish, before fetish became associated with sexual taboo.
Into the liv, and now in form of sap, sav, mahla, we call it mahla in Van language, sav in Ars language, and sap in English. In form of sap, when the sun strålar, the rays from the sun from Odin is coming on the liv, the sun is taking out akka or ukko from the liv. So akka is leaving the liv for the hole in the North Pole. And from the North Pole, it went out from the hole E, and the hole E is the prick of Lemminkäinen, who is making this pirouette, roset, jarlet, garnet, träd. And in that way the soul went around and round.
So this Lemminkäinen, when he was older, he was called Ukko.
Yeah.
And he was actually the father of all, because he was the only one who was allowed to make the women pregnant.
Yeah. So in the system we can understand in the S per Ma, he is per, S is the sun, and Ma is like Uden Ma, the Uden Ma we stay now in. So in the sound we have S per Ma, sperma. and from sperma we all come. So Lemminkäinen, he is young. He become Lemminkäinen first when he is 27. And now he takes the most beauty and most healthy woman on the planet. And he is making children with her, so from her sperm, from his sperm, is coming 7 daughters and 12 boys. The first daughter who reached the age of 27, she become automatically Maja, is in the sperm system. And the first boy who reached the age of 27, he become automatically Seppo Ilmarinen, the king, and Maja, the queen. They have no children at all. But the 12th one is the breeder in the family, so when he become 27, he take one swan, one Joutsen, and she is getting 7 daughters, 12 boys, and again the 12th one become one new Lemminkäinen. And when one new Lemminkäinen come, the old Lemminkäinen become Ukko, and the old swan, the Joutsen, become Akka. So Akka is the Ma-tar, the Ma-mother, and Ukko is the Ma-father. He is the father to all these people who live in the paradise time.
What is paradise time?
Paradise time is one time 50 million, 10,005 years ago, according to our way of counting. This ball has had one other position. So we had tropical, and it was full of ring lands. So we had one ring in the top and 6 around, and all of these ring lands, who was of course on the land, they had one Ra bee, one son of one Disa. Lemminkäinen making children with the Disa, so it's coming out men and women from the Disa. And the men who were suitable to be fathers, they become Ra bee. And Rabi is going out to his ring land and making children with the Jarl woman, coming out Jarl men. The Jarl men making children with the Kar woman, coming out Kar men, and the Kar men making children with the Träl woman, coming out Träl men. But the Träl men was not allowed to make children, and that made the whole line that we had one father, one All-Father, we call him. He was father to Allah. A means Ukko, so Allah means actually the All-Father, Allah, in the sperm system.
How did that go with the very first family?
The first family, we have the combination of the monkey and the nanny goat. The apa in our root language is A-P-A, what consists of A-Aser, P-Pole and A-Apa. So we can see what is inside in the sound to make the A-P-A, Apa. The goat is one yet, and now this Apa is making children with the yet, and out come Sam, Pu and Ain, U in one language, and in our language we call it Frey and Freya. Frey was the first who had sperma, and we all come from Frey's sperma.
But, excuse me, but would you say that if today a monkey would fuck with a goat, we get again a twin brother and sister human?
No. We have something called one Uden thing. And this Uden thing has been happening. We start our story with one awl, we call it. It's like one snake. One awl is in English language eel. One eel. And from one eel come one eel. But it's happened one Uden thing, so from one eel come one frog. And frog, and from the frog come the monkey. The monkey and frog is swimming in the same way. That's the only thing we can actually prove it with, that we are swimming like the monkey, we are swimming like the frog. From monkey come monkey, and monkey making one child with one nanny goat, and coming Freya, who swim like the frog, the monkey.
So that was only one time it happened that way.
Yeah.
Then we had Freya and Freya,
Yeah.
the original man and woman, and then this breeding system started.
Then the breeding system started, and Frey made with his Freya, the only woman existing, 7 daughters and 12 boys. Maybe more, but in the system we must understand 7 and 12.
Or less? Is that possible? They make less children?
I don't think they make less, because anyway was the meaning for us to be more and more and more. With the
One thing I want to continue to reiterate or whatever is that the Bock saga is finding its place in the whole of a narrative, and what is to be certain is that I think an element of the Bock saga can be based on its isolation, showing how it has certain holes in history, holes akin to what the Hyperboreans, this first family that's being discussed here, their seeding of the realm, and then the Ragnarok comes, they're separated out by the ice. This would be the time that I think the imposters would come in, right? And then ever since then, there's been this disruption, and I think that we're dealing with, hopefully what is not a false binary, but control by half-bloods of the outsiders versus original bloods that we know from the Bock saga. And all of this hinges on the leaders presented by the rabbis.
There's a logic behind the whole sperm system where you can see how we grow up to be first a pirouette, after the creating the rose, the second cast inside the wooden mouth. With the Disa, who get the child from Lemminkäinen sperm, and coming the Rabbi, who go out to his ringland and making yarnet, carlet, thread.
But how did these first people know to be so careful with creating other humans? Because that's what they actually were. It's more like an animal world where they say, where you see the very young and healthy, they get together and they make new animals. And how did they know to restrict themselves, so to say, and to say, well, that person can have children and the other not?
I think the animal is choosing by intuition. They also maybe go in one fate, one karma, that they meet each other and they make children. I feel also the people has been having very strong something what we don't understand today, or maybe it's in the sperm, that this first sperm was anyway understanding to make it with his first swan, so the whole system could roll out.
And so you say these Freya and Freya, they knew it from instinct or from understanding?
From instinct, understanding.
And then later on, there was created in your mythology a whole information system so that all people knew how it was going.
Yeah, it became one information system who was completely natural, with honest, based on honest, that I tell you, you tell her, and she tells somebody else. But according to honest, it was very honest system before, when we had no other thing than our own honest to base it on. Before we get the written thing, we was all transferring things to each other, of course in an honest way.
Now, the scientists say that it is impossible to keep a story alive according to the real actual happenings over, I don't know what they call it, 1,000 years or something like that. How is it possible for you to get all this family through your family lines of such an enormous time and still that there is some reality in it. How is that to remember? How can it be?
I don't know how it could be, because I only listening and I couldn't actually understand it. But now I can understand it, because when after 1984 I become free to divide this thing also with other people. We have one example, Michel Merle, very good friend to me, who also started to listening, and today he can present the same, based on the same sound as me. He can do it exactly in the same way. So he has been doing it in only 3, 4, 5 years. But from 1984 we started, so he can today, without that I am even in the room, I can trust him. I can trust that he is explaining it in exactly the same way as he's been hearing it from me and understanding it from me.
And this is all because the whole story, together with the whole story, you explain a system which is...
So, right, the question that she asked, I have to, it's great that she asked this question, right? Because she's probably a journalist in 1989 who's probably somewhat of on the other side of the veil, right? And so she's sitting there saying, but all the science that we trust that tells us that you're a liar. What about the people that say that inherently your story is a lie? You can't possibly. Your family couldn't possibly have known. Right? Because it's the question of somebody. It's saying that somebody must have bothered to come up with all this stuff, to imagine it, to be able to specifically account for the origins of royal bloodlines, particularly, right? And so the scientists are basing this on only knowing a different, uncontinuous manner of holding a certain tradition. Now, there's no other bullshitter in the world that's ever come out and tried to say, right here, my family spawned all of civilization millions of years ago. Right? That's what Bock is doing right here. He is saying, millions of years ago, my family made all of you people. I'm like your 10 billionth cousin. Right? And so that is the big crux, because the scientists don't really have a science for that. They just only know the familiar patterns and have drawn their own conclusions, right? And the magic of language is what's at play. And it's the question of, are we wrong about our understanding about how language works and the meaning of being a root language, the meaning of an agreement, of a primordial basis, of the sounds of the words that we say, and why those are the sounds for those concepts that we made words for. And so this is 1989. Saga's only been on the scene for 5 years, right?
Based on the alphabet, and which keeps the story in some frame of reality.
Yes. The alphabet is maybe for an outsider listener beginning It must sound very funny, but when you start to get deep in the sound system, you start to slowly understand that we have one meaning in the root language, the language of still living in the archipelago here, people who has one other alphabet. We have example 9 clear sound. If we take the sound A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. We start from A and end with V actually, and X, Y, Z, O, R, U. That sounds, of course, crazy. Of course, I can understand it. But when you go through it, and every sound has, you can divide it in 9 clear sound. A, E, I, U, U, Y, O, A, Ö. And the other is combination with E. What is the oak tree we all belong to? The big oak tree. The tree is actually symbolic, but we are belong to E sound. Then from there we have A is clear, B is B and E, C is C and E, D is D and E, F is E and F, G is G and E, H with O, H and O, E is the clear sound, Y is Y and E, Y, H, H, E, Y, K. K is K and O, L is E and L, M is E and M, N is E and N, O is Oden, P is P and E, Q is K and U, R is A and R, S, there is a S, only we have S sound, E and S, T and E, U is U, it's clear, and V and E, V. X, Y, Z, O, A, Ö is outside of the ring. So we start with E actually in the top, what is the W, and we get E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, I, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, I, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. And now every sound has one fixed meaning.
Every sound.
Every sound. So, so we have Aser, and Aser is the people who live inside in Odenmark. They are all Aser. And their head is Ukko, what is also A sound. So A is very heavy, very strong.
It's actually the original group of people on this earth,
yeah.
Or their land.
Their land. So A gives one association of Aser. B is Bori, Bu, R, G, Bu, and again it's U and B, Odensborg. Bu, R is Ra, and G means giving. Bori. A, Aser, B, Bori. C, share Ra. Ra is Ra, and you share the Ra, become share Ra. A, Aser, B, Bori. C, Shara. D, Dag. E, Ek. That's the oak tree we all belong to. What is all this combination in this sound system with the E? So E is very high, like A, E, and I, and O, and U, and Y. All this clear sound is all more high. So A, Aser, B, Bori, C, Shara, D, Dag, E, Ek, F, Frö. And from Frö you can put one frö in the ground, and come the strålar from the frö, and come up one straw, and you take one skär Ra, and you share the straw, and you can make one straw bock. What is the symbol here of Lemminkäinen? A, Aser, B, Borg, C, Kära, D, Dag, E, Ek, F, Frö, G, Grund. G is grund, but G means also giving. I gave you, and you gave me. So G means giving.
And of course, that is in absolute harmonic cognate to Gebo, the rune, which is an X, but X is its own thing. So why do we call this X when we have? It's very interesting.
Dag eke flyg grund och hell. So hell is the middle point of Odenma, and from hell all the sperm went out all over the planet. Hell is also our home. Serbe Boris är kära det dag eke flyg grund och hell i. Now from I come the sperm, and Ukko has the I, and Lemminkäinen has the I, but actually all men has one I, and from I come the sperm. Serbeborg se kära det dag eke fröge grund och hell i jarlar, and ye has also to do with ye va giving. So ye is also one giving sound, ye. Serbeborg se kära det dag eke fröge grund och hell i jarlar ko karlar.
It's outside car.
That's this outside. Jar et, kar et. So we have ye and ko, and L is the lag, the law, the logic. So L, when you see the L in the combination, it has to do with the law and the logic. The nature law is the logic. Serbeborg se kära det dag eke fröge grund och hell i jarlar ko karlar lag måne and måne is the moon, and Seppo Maja, the king and queen, is representing the moon. Serbeborg se kära det dag eke fröge grund och hell i jarlar ko karlar lag måne nordstjärnan, the North Star. And the North Star is also in the sperm, and the North Star is the pole star, who is in the top of the pole, is the pole star. Så Serbeborg se kära det dag eke fröge grund och hell i jarlar och karlar lag måne nordstjärnan Oden. And that's of course the sun, but the sun is the sun. This is the S is the sun, but O is Oden. So Oden is actually one different thing. Oden is the sun, but there is two. There is S and O, who is representing the sun, Oden. Serbeborg se kära det dag eke fröge grund och hell i jarlar ko karlar lag måne nordstjärnan Oden Polen. From we have North Pole and South Pole, and from the pole come also the sperma. Sperma come from the pole.
Because the people who
the people. We have many people on the planet, and we come from the pole of the P. The P is the circle, so you can see the mathematics. The circle is the P, and that's Oden and people. Many people on the planet, many Per, son of Per. Because Per was anyway the highest. Per, Sant Per vid nyckeln, vid the key. Serbeborg se kära det dag eke fröge grund och hell i jarlar ko karlar lag måne nordstjärnan Oden Polen Q kvadrat. Now Q means one ring with one pole in the middle who make the shadow. So you can see the mark Q, and it has to do with mathematik, with the kvinna. Because the original early woman has been one kvinna. Today is only the queen, the wife of the king. In England, but you call her woman in England, but the original is kvinna. Serbeborg se kära det dag eke fröge grund och hell i jarlar ko karlar lag måne nordstjärnan Oden Polen Q kvadrat Ra. And Ra is in the king's sperm. And from the king's sperm it go out in one divan system, but Ra was very high because Ra is one part of sperma. Aserbe borgse kära de dag eke fröge grund ho hell i jarlar ko karlar lage måne nordkärnan oden p Polen q kvadrat ra s solen. And so is len, solen is the sun in root language. Aserbe borgse kära de dag eke fröge grund ho hell i jarlar ko karlar lage måne nordkärnan oden p Polen q kvadrat ra s solen t tor. And tor, we had one tor system, 2 women tor and 2 men tor. We have Thor's hammer, every man has Thor's hammer. What is the most sensitive place on the man, and the woman has clitor, is, who become o, that's called clitoris. So we can see clitoris come from the old sensitive, they only said the most sensitive
and of
place
course,
on the woman is clitoris, and the most sensitive on the man.
And now the cameraman is fucking zooming in on her clit. This is... This is like I suppose in Finland it doesn't come off as terribly funny, or does that, or is this a bit funny in Finland? Right? Is this in 1989 Finland, would somebody look at this and say, well, yes, of course you need to focus in on her crotch. She's talking about lady crotches, so it's a good thing there's one right there. Anyway.
Man is the Thor's hammar's head. Aserbe borgse kära de dag eke fröge grund ho hell i jarlar ko karlar lage måne nordkärnan oden p Polen q kvadrat ra s solen t tor ursprung. Das ursprung like one fontaine. Ursprung is the original. Aser b borg c kära d dag ek f frö g grund h hell i j jarlar k karlar l lag m måne n nordkärnan oden p Polen q kvadrat ra s solen t tor ursprung v vaner. And vaner is the people who live outside of Odenma. So Aser is the people inside in the ringland Odenma, and v vaner is the people outside in the ringlands outside of Odenma. So we start with A and end with vaner. Outside is X, means the oak trees, X. Y is the Yggdrasil, the all-living tree. Yggdrasil, very well known in other mythology, the tree Yggdrasil, what is the ash tree. X, Y, C, ta is the flash between two people, Zeta. O, Ä, Ö is three clear sound, what has different combination. Now this tell you one story. And if you really listening now, you can get the story about E. We start with E, what is the W, E, and W is also like one Q, one prick in the middle, and two bockhorn on the both side, the tresol. The sol, trädet, the tresol. The tre is the tree, 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, and sol is the sun. So tresol is one high symbol, what is for Ukko, for Lemminkäinen, for Zeus, for Jupiter, etc., etc. We can see the tresol, the trident, I think you call it in English. But E, Asernas borg, C, dagen, ekens, frös, grund, hell. I, jarlarnas, karlarnas lag, månen, nordkärnan, Oden, Polen, kvadraten. Ras, sol, tor. ursprungets vaner and this tells one story, and when you understand this story, you understand how this story is based on this funny side.
Now it's amazing because the last time when you said it, I heard that it was a story. But this is because I speak Swedish, which is like very close to
because Swedish come from Odenmark, it's come over to Sweden, the root language in a little bit different singing form, and it's go to Norway, and outside of Norway we have the big island called England, where also blue and green iced Arctical people are. So the English also is going out in the history from Odenmark to the west and ended up in England, and from England they spread it all over the planet so we can all communicate, you and me, with English.
If we learn the original meaning of the alphabet.
No, without alphabet we can all speak English. But it's anyway based on the root and these root sounds.
This Freya, you say they're also the Ur-father and Ur-mother of
the human being.
Let's say the people in Africa.
Yeah.
Because they look very much different than we do.
Yeah. That has one story in the mythology that when this pole changed, we get the ice time and the north part become covered by ice. And now there was 10 Ra-bi who become like kings. So we get 10 king system where the first son become the king when the king died. Different than in Odenmark, and all other sons become dukes. Now we have duke in England, one area with one duke, and he is making the earl woman pregnant, and it go down in the exactly same way.
But how, from the color.
Okay, so right there, that explains quite a thing. That specifically explains that the rabbis are, that pretty much establishes it because of the link in with the breeding system that they are like shadow kings, right? And you're talking about, we don't know the deal with their private lives, right? And so these 10 rabbis, these 10 rabbinical bloodlines are they're kind of each their own thing doing the breeding system, and then they can coordinate with each other, and then they fight all the time, right? And so this sets off different regions because of what they force to set in motion through breeding programs, right? There was a dispute over breeding programs, and we are bringing to an end certain manners of which we do breeding program in at least the West. So, is that a rebellion from these rabbis? Are the rabbis not the bad guys? Do the rabbis change? Are they like politicians, where it's us and then we lean on them?
If you think, how can them be the people in Africa, they have a black skin, how can they come from a Freya, which looked a little bit like you and me, maybe, or more like you?
Now, if you look the outlook of the people on the planet, we have the Arctical people with the blue and green eyes, and we have the tropical people with the brown and black eyes. They are all 10 different tropical, and when you look at those people, we have 10 different outlook. You can see the Peking people in China. They look really different than the children of Narkasul, what is in Hindustan, and the children of Zeus and Jupiter, we can divide them and see that in the Mediterranean we have a little bit different outlook of people. We see the Necros people in Africa. The Necros people must have had one Allfather who created this thing, and we go over to the Red Indian in today America, and we see that they also look different. So we have actually 11 different outlooks of people from the nature. 10 outside, tropical, and from actually one, arctical, coming Sven and Dan, Svenskarar and Danskarar, the Karar of Sven and Karar of Dan, who created Uppsala with one breeding center, and Jylland, the Danish. And from Denmark we get out to this Europe, what we call it today, and we get England with 2 roses, the red rose and the white rose, and both of these roses had feel that there was kings, and from there we get the bottle of roses.
That's amazing.
Okay. So there's the war. There's the explanation for the War of the Roses. I hadn't quite caught that yet. So that the War of the Roses goes all the way back. That goes all the way back. Yeah, that's fascinating, right? You see, like, this all makes perfect sense when you look at European history. It's a question of what this shit was like in Rome. Like when Rome was like pagan, and all the European civilization was a much smaller matter. The Roman Empire was had a lot more of the southern and western, eastern resources, and so the Vikings, you know, or the Norsemen, like Bronze Age Norsemen and stuff, were in a different situation, and there was a lot less historical record. Because I'm pretty sure the War of the Roses really didn't start till the Christian era, right? So the dispute is something that I believe had been growing over centuries, perhaps, and then turned into a very long war after that. Right? There's an explanation of some of the core concepts of the bickering.
Well, I have to look at it. It's fascinating. Great. Now you're on this level, and they took out this stuff, what they call stoned mass, which is not so hard as granite. They started 2 years ago. And then they dug like about 10 meters. I'll go and stand there and show you what was the level of
She's very cute. Look at her doing her thing.
This is like the granite. You can also see there the lines of the earth. That's how much we dug out. And then so the area from here, this is like this granite, which could be like casual steps, you know, it goes a bit like this, then it goes down a bit here, and here, 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 and this goes down, So the expectation with this is actually slowly, the staircase that is part of it. Here it goes down, all down.
so it's like a gradual always.
To find. You expect to find anything?
You expect Golden
Church.
Yes, with Lemminkainen.
Yeah.
The Akka is there.
How much you know about the saga?
I know quite much, but my English is not...
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's great.
Do you understand the alphabet?
Yes. Yes, I'm sure there's something. There's something with the world.
This temple, where now the digging is happening for, you found it because there was this big rock called Ertestupa, which was talked about in the mythology as the place where the old woman, the Akka, died.
All right, so Peaceful Penguin seems to... how many times on this channel have I covered the Bock saga and the Lemminkainen temple spoken of left and right, my friend? My man. My man. My man. You're embarrassing yourself. Lemminkainen temple. That's Lemminkainen temple. If they can blast through the last couple layers of rocks, they can find the treasure of the original king line that was a product of aesthetic, which includes gold, which is why it all should still be there. So there's apparently a lot of gold craft work from the first civilization, from the last generation of the first civilization before the Ragnarok, when this line had to break all of its way of life. So yeah. So Lemminkainen Temple, this temple has been shown in several of the videos in the series. I've seen you around so much, I could have sworn you've been here for other Bock sagas. Could have sworn I've seen you in the chat. I guess you just missed all the Bock sagas that mention the temple.
And so, what is the story? What do you expect to find? What kind of temple? How does it look like? I mean, there's now this road going down, and then there's like all this rock, and then what?
The temple has one cupool, and from this cupool they started to make these chambers. It means that the first chamber, the second, the third is starting to go in one spiral down in the bedrock, and the bottom of this place is always round. So for every chamber they make the spiral to go down more deep and deep, who make that the floor always is one big ring, who become deeper, deeper, deeper down in the ground.
So there is, like, in the rock itself, in the granite solid rock,
Yeah.
there is a round roof, so to say.
Yeah, one round roof, what is also the air condition, because from this round roof, or the cupool, go 3 channels down to one round room, and this round room you can fill up with water. And when you fill up this round room with water, the 3 channels who lead to the cupool become closed, and that we call water lock. So they had to take out the...
So understand, he, like part of the box eye, he's not claiming just like what's in there. It's like he's got the schematics for the temple in his head, right? Oh, yeah, you see, when we get this thing open, it's going to spiral down, and there's going to be a big circle of granite here, and then it's going to go down another level. There's going to be a water. Like, he's describing a water system that's part of the security for the. This is some holy shit, kind of like when you think about this as a claim. If we had ever gotten this temple open in his time, imagine. Fucking imagine. And it's still not open yet. We don't know. We don't know if he's right. But he's got the imagine they open it up and that's what they find. If we're finding what we think we're finding under Giza, then this is easy. I mean, look at the place.
The water, and they get these 3 channels who opened by itself, and the middle channel, the middle gong, is called corridor, and that means that there must be rooms on both sides. Otherwise, in our language, is only one gong. So if you have one gong, it's one gong, but it has doors on all sides, both sides become one corridor. And the middle one is one corridor, and the 2 other one is for the air condition. So when they blew in the wind in through the opening of the temple where we are just now in our digging, the air will go to the round room, where the air is in the round room turning up like in 1.5 channels to the cupool, and down from the cupool the air go out in 1.5 way down to the round room and out. It's the same like the nose with your mouth. It's also 3 holes in the human being, and in the same way this temple is constructed.
And then next to this round room, there is the storage places, which every generation made for their ur-mother and ur-father.
That is in the spiral who go down from the cupool, but the corridor has rooms on both sides, what is used for different ceremonies.
Aha. And this amount of storage rooms. I've heard it before, but can you say it again? The amount of storage rooms which you expect to find?
I can't say how many there are. I know there are thousands and thousands, but if we have only one, and that means that the ice time was 50 million years, and the paradise time was more than this ice time. So it means that more than 50 million, we can say 100 million years of the time of the history of the planet was belonged to the paradise time. And pa is asanas pole, ra is asanas ra, para, dis, we have disor, so paradise et. It say itself in sound that it's one time in the history of this planet. And we call it paradise in English, and we call paratisi in Van language. So when we compare the Van language, the Ars language, and the English, we can find out that it must be, because it's all 3 languages, has the paradise, paratisi, and paradise et.
So the story goes that it has all the information up to the paradise time, to the time before the ice time.
The time before ice time, for every generation of our father, they had been making one chamber what is full of these gifts giving up to appreciating the system of sperma.
If this story, what you have been telling, if this story is true, it will be a complete revolution.
One complete understanding, I think. Understanding that we had different periods in the history of the planet. And these periods will be coming up to the light when we get into this temple.
Now imagine that this, what you say, is all true. Say that the temple is found and you can actually really see with your own eyes that there's this remnants of old times there. What do you expect that people will say about that? How do you think people will react?
Of course people will be surprised, but it will be making one situation that they all want to know what is based on, and that means that maybe many brains want to take the alphabet to understand what they've been seeing in the TV. The plan is that this temple will not be one tourist attraction. We are not selling ticket to the temple. We have a plan that one photograph can take one chamber, and this photograph can by photo take out this to the planet. That one photograph he can concentrate on one chamber and taking out the beauty. We take one thing, when you take it by photo, you can see it from different angles, you can see the handicraft in a different way, especially when it's become explained for the people who look the object. And in that way, one thing can give more than you look at 1,000 things by yourself. Now every photograph can get one chamber, and he can present it, individual photograph by themselves, and in that way we can see the inside of the temple in the future in our television system on the planet.
Do you think it will be beneficial for people to find out these things?
What is beneficial?
Good.
Of course
Helpful.
It's good. Of course it's good. It helps one understanding, because from the past we can build one future. From the past we can build up one future of understanding.
Wow. I'm very, very happy with the information you have been giving me, and I hope you don't have to wait too long in this cold weather to see that it's all there. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks for your interest to spread this thing in your way, with my words, who is my parents' word.
Of listening to Ior Bock, to Michel Merle, to all the people visiting there on Kumbo Strand. It's all a possibility. And my conclusion is, if you really want to find out more, you have to get a little bit into linguistics. Therefore, at the end of this compilation of a visit to Ior Bock, one more time, Mr. Ior Bock and his alphabet. One more time, would you just say the alphabet so that maybe I get the story?
Say one time the alphabet.
Yes. Like, you did it already yesterday, before.
You mean the story in the alphabet?
The story in the alphabet, yeah.
Ah. E. E means actually inside.
Yeah.
So E. Asernas Borg.
In the castle of Aser.
Se. Dagen.
You see the day.
Ekens frös grund.
And the ground of the seeds of the oak tree.
Help.
Hell. Home.
I jarlarnas, karlarnas lag.
Lag in the law of the jarls and the cows.
Månen,
The moon, or the mouth, moon.
månen Nordstjärnan.
The North Star,
Orden,
the land,
Orden,
the ring,
It's a ring, it's everything, it's the sun.
the sun.
Yeah, it's the sun. Orden is the sun. Uden is one ring, and the moon is ring one time a month. So it's full moon, and the sun is always one ring. So it go up and down. It's never changed. It's always same. And the moon was giving mark to the people of the planet because it's give different changing. Så i Asernesborg ser dagen ekens frös grund häll i jarlarnas karlarnas lag, månen, Nordstjärnan, Oden, Polen, kvadraten.
Mathematic, the woman.
The ring with the pole in the middle making one shadow, cutting the mark of the cube. Kvinna, the woman was kvinna. Kvinna. It was something else than woman we use today in the language. So they could catch that. There has been an emancipation before. We have saying in Hindistan where they had Lakshman and Saraswati. And one time they took away Saraswati and become one new figure called Lakshmi. So they must have been having one change there because they wanted to have this Laks. You can see it. It's very funny, this Lakshmi coming in India. To change the figure, the ideal, you could change to a new woman, to a new queen. Yeah? Okay, Asernesborg, se dagen, ekens frös grund häll, i jarlarnas, karlarnas lag, månen, Nordstjärnan, Oden, Polen, kvadraten. And now come new Ras Sul Tur. Ras Sul Tur.
Ras, Ras, sun or moon later.
Ras Sul Tur.
Sun, Tur, friend or heart.
There is this combination.
Ras, Tur.
Ras Sul Tur. There is what we call Kela. Ras Sul Tur. Ursprunget svanar i.
The origin of the Vanas, friends living around, and E, the prick again.
Ursprunget svanar i. It means that the Van people come from the east. We tell them in the end that actually you all come from the east. Especially they say the Van come from the east.
And DE meaning the prick of the Bock, of the Lemminkainen, of that special person in the breeding system.
In the paradise time we have this E or this Lemminkainen, so he is the breeding, he is the Disa, the Disa figure, so it's called Disa is this 30 day, that's ceremony in 30 days, and Disa and one round in the system. So you have Disa, because Sha means get, and D is D, so Disa in 30 days. So it's one ceremony what they have, who all could understand in a way to understand what Disa means. Now Disa, en Disa, flera Disa, one Disa, many Disa.
For the drink.
So if I'm remembering the breakdown of that correctly because of how it plays on English, it's the ceremony, which is the Ceremony. So this is the word of the king when the moon is over the E or over the pole, right? So the ceremony would happen during an alignment.
Of the sperm for the woman who wanted to get pregnant, it was not important that it was the same sperm as the one who would make her pregnant later on.
Oh yes, only here in Udenmark was different. Only here with Lemminkäinen, because Lemminkäinen had to make so many children, so they should have been breeding in the end. Yeah. So that means that one rabbi from all of these ringlands get the honor to go in the temple with Lemminkäinen in the divan, and after he can come out and give 30 days to one Lisa.
So the rabbi, he exchanges or he drinks the sperm of Lemminkäinen?
He changes it with Lemminkäinen in the temple.
And then he's like blessed to be the father of child.
Yeah, in that way he gave 30 days, and after she been drinking 30 days, she goes to Freysham on the Meridian line, and then it comes a shot. So there he
on a certain time.
Yeah, they have these 30 days. There is this 30 days, and that's in whole this numerology here.
1 month.
Yeah, 1 month. 1 månad, 1 kalendermånad. It is kalender. Det är almanackan kalender.
Ra, Sol, Tu.
Ja, Ra, Sol, Tu, ursprungsvärlden I. Så vi tänker. I Asanas borg.
In the castle of Asana.
Se dagen.
You see the day.
Ekens frös grund.
The ground of the seat of the oak tree.
Hell.
Helsinki, the home.
I
the prick of the Lemminkäinen.
Jarlarnas, karlarnas lag.
According to the law of the Jarls and the Karls.
Jarlarnas, karlarnas lag. Månen.
Is the moon.
Månen. Månen. That's the moon.
And mouth.
And mouth. And moon has 2 sides, one dark and one in light. And Seppo Maria is both representing the moon. So the king and queen is representing the moon. So they are giving out the mark to the planet, how we was doing according to the moon. So that's the moon. I Asanas borg se dagen ekens frösgrund hell. I jarlarnas, karlarnas lag, månen. After we come to nord, skär, nan. Nord, skär, nan. North star, pole star. Because we have the pole with the ball, and on this pole, also from the pole comes the sperm, from the ball comes the sperm to the ball, and from this ball all this system, Pirvefuuset ja well.
And so the North Star is the star
Just straight up. So you always could see that under this star is Valhalla.
Mm-hmm. So that they would not forget.
Yeah, you could see it. The North Star, is just over the pole, and just in the hole of the pole is Valhalla.
The old pole.
Yeah, the old North Pole. Yeah, it was before the pole, when the pole was straight.
Yeah.
Now it's here.
Yeah.
So it has been shifting. But anyway, it's there. So I Asanas borg. Now Asanas borg is also the 7 islands, because Helsingnes has 7 hills around with 7 temples. And outside of Helsingnes is 7 islands, with the middle islands Odensö with Lyssnarberget, Kuunteluvuori, and there is the middle point, the hole in the pole, because Your figure go from the ash to the root, to the stem, to the branch, to the leaf, and figure leaf in form of mahva, akka, through the air to the hole in the North Pole, and from this North Pole it go out from the hole E, from the key of Lemminkäinen, who making children with a Disa, coming out Rabi, who making children with a Jarl woman, coming out Jarl boys and girls. The Jarl boys is making children with a Karl woman, coming out small Karl boys and girls. And the Karl men is making children with a Träl woman, so coming out Träl boys and girls. And now when the last of these caste doesn't make children, it's become no name. We had only one shield with the mark of the spur when they went out for breeding. Now, in this way, they had one Allfather, the Ukko, in the top of the planet, enlightened, because sun and Udenman at top had one effect. So you see him still in Chinese drawings and carvings. You can see Ukko on the top of this hill, still around the planet. If you look for him, you find him. Because we know that we had only one Ukko. So when you make one face of one respected old man, you can call him St. Nicholas, you can call him Baba Natal, you can call him Père Noël, you can call him Father Christ, you can call him Diet Maros. The Moscow people say Diet Maros. And in Rome they talk about Baba Natal, and Baba is father also in Hindi, they talk Baba, or Baba.
And Abba in Israel.
Yeah. So there are all these men, and we have a pipe in our country, because P means one circle. That
Now, hold on. Did he just said Baba means father, right? And then I think he also mentioned, did he mention Moscow or Rus people, something like that? It sounded like he was making a Russian reference with Baba. So Baba Yaga is supposed to be a female witch. I'm going to pinch this back a hair. I want to try and get that right. We'll go back 2 minutes.
the hole in the North Pole, and from this North Pole it go out from the hole E, from the key of Lemminkäinen, who making children with a Disa, coming out Rabi, who making children with a Jarl woman, coming out Jarl boys and girls. The Jarl boys is making children with a Karl woman, coming out small Karl boys and girls. And the Karl men is making children with a Träl woman, so coming out Träl boys and girls. And now when the last of this caste doesn't make children, it's become no name. We had only one shield with the mark of the spur when they went out for breeding. Now, in this way, they had one Allfather, the Ukko, in the top of the planet, enlightened, because sun and Udenman at top had one effect. So you see him still in Chinese drawings and carvings. You can see Ukko on the top of this hill, still around the planet. If you look for him, you find him. Because we know that we had only one Ukko. So when you make one face of one respected old man, you can call him St. Nicholas, you can call him Baba Natal, you can call him Père Noël, you can call him Father Christ, you can call him Diet Maros. The Moscow people say Diet Maros. And in Rome they talk about Baba Natal, and Baba is father also in Hindi, they talk Baba, or Baba.
Okay. He's saying that's Baba is father in. Did he say India and Rome? So either way, That's just interesting, though, right? Because then how did Baba get associated with Baba Yaga?
Yeah. So there are all these men, and we have a pipe in our country, because P means one circle. That you remember now. P is one circle. So P is also order, because it's the circle order. P. Now the wood is Poo. P-U. Now it's P is Pole and U is U. So Poo is Oden's Pole. See, like that. But Poo is also, for normal one people here in Finland, we talk about Poo floor. Now from this Poo material you make one P, and then you get one P, Poo, one P-Poo. Now P means the ring and the Poo is the Poo, and you make one shaft. And when it's for masculine, the hole is in the bottom of the P-Poo, and it's go round like one kaura. So you smoke it, but when it's for the feminine, they have a long shaft, when the shaft comes from the side of the pipe, and that we call tupa akka pi-poo. Now tupa is the room for the woman, akka is the highest woman on the planet, tupa akka, pi is the circle, and poo is the material. So tupa akka pi-poo is tupa akka pi. Now we have the other one who is called ukko-pi-poo, and that is ukko. And that's one man with one face, and you put inside something to smoke. That we have always, because it's in the sound, so we must have been smoking in the paradise time. Because when this kind of sound is in our language, I understand that smoking in pipe is a very old thing. This I want to tell to these people in Holland, because they've been appreciating to smoke. And I know that it's good for the brain. Bombole.
Vaya. Back.
Yeah.
But
The end of the alphabet goes then V, I, A. Vaya. Back to the A.
no. Ah. Now the I is the tresor. From the I, there is the tresor, the sol, trädet. Sol
Almost
is
like
the
that.
sun. Sol is the sun, sol is Oden, and sol is your mouth, and when your mouth le, you sol len, and all children always make one ring with one smile. And sol is the mouth in one language, and le is the smile in root language. So sol len, in one they call it au ring ku, means the sun, sol, and au ring ku, and ku is the moon, and au ring ku, in the language of Finnish people, means au ring ku is the sun, and ku is the moon. Now we have måne and solen, and solen means really smiling mouth. Now this is the tresor with this tresor. It's one Q in the middle and two Bock on the outside. And that's the E, is the breather. So it's actually, but also Ukko has it. And Wijnen have tresor. Zeus has tresor. Jupiter has tresor. Shiva has tresor. You can see a little bit who had this tresor on pictures we still have everywhere, but it's one symbol of breathing anyway,
You know,
or life.
What was he saying that they all had? Let me go back just a pinch.
Is the sun, and Ku is the moon. Now we have måne and solen, and solen means really smiling mouth. Now this is the tresor with with this tresor. It's one key in the middle and two Bock on the outside. And that's the E is the breather. So it's actually, but also Ukko has it. And Wijnen have tresor. Zeus has tresor. Jupiter has tresor. Shiva has tresor. You can see a little bit who had this tresor on pictures we still have everywhere, but it's one symbol of breathing anyway,
You know,
or life.
It sounds like he's saying Disur or three souls. It sounds like one of those two things. Because if he's not saying that, then it sounds like he's saying Thresor. And I'm saying that doesn't make sense, but three souls makes sense. Because he might be saying that we have the tripartite soul and that these different gods symbolically are expressing that.
I would think about this story of Adam and Eve because I'm raised with the other story of the origin of the world. Also, paradise was the same. There was paradise, there was enough tropical fruits, and the animals were happy, and the women got children without pain. And so there was Adam and Eve, the first man and the first woman. And then Eve, she ate an apple, she listened to the snake, and paradise was gone. And so I was thinking this morning, and I thought, well, maybe it was something like that the woman didn't want to stick with these breeding rules, and they said, well, actually, I like it all the time, I like to fuck all the time, stop drinking the sperm, make love to me, and maybe that was the end of paradise. What do you think?
I don't know what I think, but I can say you that in the Bible they say that the people was turning away their face from the God.
But by the way, that's a really fucking solid theory. I'm not sure if anybody else has articulated that before. Interesting.
The God.
Yeah. And they say it like that. And for us to say that the men stopped to drink their own sperm so they could rule over themselves.
As otherwise they would be so in tune with nature and cosmic inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, here is one man who is the ruler. Then in the Bible is the woman who was made all wrong. So there is also one opposite presented.
And so definitely that your story is much more an equality of man and woman than in the Bible, because there Adam is born, takes his rib out, and he has a woman. So, and here you have one complete man.
Sperma. S, you remember solen. S is the sun. Per is ukko. Sperma. Like Udenmaa, Kymenmaa, Hämeenmaa, Turunmaa, Viininmaa, Eestinmaa, maa. And ma. And every children say ma before they've been listening to the surrounding. So it seems to come like spontaneous mama for children.
And I believe, he's probably going to say it, but I believe so per is uko, and then ma is, would probably be aka then. Because he's already making the mother references.
And the challenge to listening to what is in this family, they call it the mama. So mama must be by natural sound, and papa also. Papa, mama. Otherwise it shouldn't exist all over this same world. As
you were checking this story, which you heard 20 years long, you were actually brainwashed or brain instructed by your mother and your aunt.
My sister.
Oh, your sister.
Yes, we are from same story, Rocky and me.
And they were talking to you, and you took all in that information. And then when you started to apply it to the rest of the world, to other languages and to history, did you find it logical? Did you see like that their story actually fits with the history of mankind as you hear it from other sides?
I find out that when my surroundings started to drink their own sport, they could, in a more real, their own thing, tell me where they actually could take away something unlogical. So they become more pure to tell me their thing when they have been drinking their own sport.
It's like a meditation time, or also a physical effect.
No physical, only like with one communication, sitting together in front of the fire, talking, finding out that now when they've been drinking their own sport, we can communicate in different ways.
Because they're more relaxed?
More relaxed, more concrete than before. Of course, also you know one other person and one group of people. You know already that they know how you feel, and so you can be more sure. And that way you become more take only words, and especially in the sound system you throw one word to Michelle example, and we can have nice for that word for 10 minutes smiling. Even in newspaper they can make such a nice thing for us now. Whereas they also find it out is one language. So we can, and also we who drink our sperm, I feel that we have been getting much more when this girlfriend is coming who is belong to one man. She is always sitting with this man and she can't get anything. But when they are coming separately, I think all are very open to this woman because she hasn't this man there. I feel that everybody who comes with their girlfriend, they can be a little afraid at the beginning that what is this? Because it's anyway some kind of not emotional forever love. It's not, I think, existing that we can see on the result of the planet today, where not the system seems to work so well.
So, as you can see here,
quality.
it was very important that we knew that Eeyore Bock cleaned his ears. That was important.
The man today, no, all kind of flashes language.
So the original teaching about mankind actually is man. They have to stay in contact with their own nature. They have to drink their own sperm. The women actually have to support them to do that, because if they don't do it, it's not going well for the women also.
And that we know now, but I'm not so sure how they must know it before this man stopped in that paradise time, yeah.
But for the woman, it's important to take the power of nature, to take the leaves from the tree and make the tea and drink for their own well-being.
Yeah, but also the man was drinking.
Also.
Yes, but it was for this woman. It's always put on this air with this woman, this Maha. So I have been really careful through this female thing. There are not so this really, but you see it in the air if you will go really through this egg. You see it there in this female, strong. So I think I don't want to answer this. Long
No, thank you very much again.
Yeah, nice that you came again and asked again a little bit. Yes. Yeah. I have found out that you understand. So welcome again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your visiting, I can't say, my parents' home. Well, shaking hand, a warm handshake, you say. In the postcard.
All right, look at that. Wow. Hey, we got through it. That's it. It's done. Wow. That was a very fast 40 minutes. All right. I wasn't playing that at 1.5 speed, was I? No, that was at normal speed. Man, okay, cool. Well, guys, that was the show. So, as of right now, I don't know if I've got any more Bock Saga lined up just yet. So I'll come back to the Bock Saga if I find anything real good, or I get an interview of a Bockic nature. I haven't exactly decided what I'm going to do next. I have different options. One of which that I kind of might want to do is I might want to break down The Catcher in the Rye. I might want to break the book down. I might want to see what's up. Draw some context, right? You know, I can sit there. It'll help me understand The Shining better. Like what is happening to Wendy in this film, with knowing that she read The Catcher in the Rye while her husband was away, right? Because this is about imprinting in her some sort of warning. Because I think I know a thing or two about, from listening to a few people talk about the book, about the main character, and so we'll see. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on, and a lot of interesting things for me to tap into. So I'm going to give myself a psyche reset on that level and figure out what the next direction for stuff I want to do is going to be. All right. I'll catch you guys soon. I hopefully have a couple of cool interviews in the works as we speak. All right. Have a great one.